You can now get a 30-day trial to experience The Athletic for free. Visit the link in the description below to try it now. Neymar has always been a star. He made his debut for Santos at just 17. And from that moment onwards, his flawless technique and frequently brilliant goals appear to set him on a path towards becoming the world's best player. But that's never happened. And today, that elusive Ballon d'Or seems as far away as ever. Neymar will forever be football's prince, but without a crown. But why? Well, there are two very obvious reasons and a host of smaller but significant others. The obvious ones first: Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Since 2008, and with the exception of Luka Modric's win in 2018, the Ballon d'Or has been their private property. It's been their era, and so much so that the award has been less a conscious evaluation and more just an annual choice between the two, based on which trophies they happen to have won. And like a lot of others, Neymar was a victim of that dominance. Perhaps where he suffered more than most, however, was in the way those two players redefined what it was to be world-class, particularly for a forward. Whereas Messi's and Ronaldo's dominance has always been reflected by unprecedented volume, Neymar's production has always been merely healthy. Now that's partly a feature of how he's been used, and it's also a description of his style of play and the type of players that he's often played with. In 8 years spent in Europe, he has managed more than 20 league goals in a season just twice. And to date, across his time at Barcelona and PSG, he has never finished a season as his team's top scorer. Of course, there's a valid argument that says Neymar has never been the best player in the world by any measure, but there's another, possibly more nuanced perspective, which says that he wasn't built to fit that description, that he could never have been overwhelming or dominant enough to be considered in such a way. Good enough for 2 third-place finishes in 2015 and 2017, but never within touching distance of the award. And the Ballon d'Or has always been focused on rewarding a very obvious form of success. It has its prerequisites and key tenets, such as winning European, world and domestic cups, but despite its electorate of journalists, coaches and national team captains, it tends always to crown whichever player is the most vivid in the public consciousness. Who's the biggest star? Who defines their team? Who is football at that particular time? It's not a coincidence that the Ballon d'Or winner is rarely a surprise. The winner is obvious to everyone long before it's announced. And that is the level of superiority that it requires. For someone like Neymar, that has been an impossible role to occupy while Messi and Ronaldo were still playing. For Neymar at Messi's Barcelona, it was literally so. Yet of course, his move to Paris Saint-Germain has never brought him any closer. Firstly, because it removed him from the Classico rivalry, the best-lit stage in world football, and secondly, because that transfer challenged European football's orthodoxies and provoked negative assumptions about why a footballer would willingly put himself within a less competitive environment. However, it would be a mistake to believe that the move to Liga alone has been the only factor. Not least because in the 4 years since that world record transfer, Neymar hasn't really dominated French football. He is its most gifted player, but injuries have limited his appearances, and in his first 3 seasons he averaged just 17.3 Liga games per year. In fact, he has never played in more than 30 across all competitions in the same season, and that has helped to sustain an unwelcome reputation. After all, the 2014 World Cup, in what should have been a crowning moment in his own country in front of his own fans, Neymar's tournament ended prematurely after suffering a back injury against Colombia. It was bad timing and bad luck, but questions about Neymar's durability have remained ever since. In stark contrast to Messi and Ronaldo, both of whom continue to play between 40 and 60 games a season well into their 30s. For Neymar though, an inability to do that not only lessens him by comparison, but it has also added further intrigue to tabloid stories about his wavering commitment. His long birthday parties or his trips back to Brazil. Rumours have persisted too about him being indulged by PSG's high brass, helping to create the image of a footballer who doesn't take his talent quite seriously enough. And that of course is highly unfashionable and has been for some time. Ronaldinho was the last footballer to wear his talent lightly and still win the Ballon d'Or. In the 16 years since, though, earning the title of the world's best player has become associated with compulsive self-improvement, singular focus, and a maniacal determination never to leave the pitch, even for a few minutes. That describes Ronaldo and Messi to a T, but never Neymar. For him, though, an even bigger problem has developed over these 4 years: Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe is a Parisian playing in Paris and was a World Cup winner with France in 2018. Now that's enough to be the principal character in Mauricio Pochettino's PSG side and deny Neymar the leading role he moved there to occupy. Mbappe is also younger, more socially conscious, and equipped with that direct, devastating style of play that is more commensurate with the Ballon d'Or voting trends and the modern expectation of what a dominant forward should be. And that's of course without considering the candidacies of players like Erling Haaland, who will surely have a long-term rivalry with Mbappe, or others such as Joao Felix, Jadon Sancho and Ansu Fati, who will also be long-term occupants of Football Summit. It leaves Neymar as a player between eras. A genuine star, yes, and wonderfully gifted and full of fantasy, but not built to challenge those who came before or after him, and never quite able to make the world his own. If you like this video, please subscribe to Tifo to help us reach 1 million subscribers. And if you do enjoy Tifo, then you'll probably also like The Athletic. If you watch our tactics videos, you should go and read Michael Cox. If you're into data, read Tom Warville. And if you're into transfers, it's David Ornstein. Plus, if you're a fan of any Premier League team, then there's a journalist dedicated to you, and you can try it for free for 30 days now by clicking the link in the description.